Hello everyone, today we have a really short hack or a really short trick to work with Unity and third-party libraries, or in our case where we share server and client code outside and inside of Unity. Because outside of Unity it is very common to use, for example, Console.WriteLine to have some debug code displaying in the console, or in Kubernetes development in our case we do that so we see the logs in our container logs when we investigate into containers what is happening. And what you see here, this is everything basically just Console.WriteLine. So on server side we use Console.WriteLine. It is very imperformant, you shouldn't do that too much, but if you want to debug something, you might not care about performance, or you want to give some states if the container is running fine and everything in there. There are other ways to do that, but still for debugging purposes, you want to display something on the screen, what is happening. And I implemented a TLS-like encryption into the network engine itself, and then I needed some debugging. And in Unity, it wasn't showing any Console.WriteLine. So I could see my debug code on server side, but I couldn't see it on Unity side, which is kind of a bummer. But there's a way to do that in Unity actually. There's a function called, let me zoom in to the text. There's a function console.setOut, which basically exactly does what we want. It set the output of the console write or Console.WriteLine and everything. What it needs is a text writer basically, and I implemented a Unity console text writer. Feel free to just copy it into your project and use it wherever you need it. It's quite simple. A text writer has a flush function which flushes the data on screen. Sorry for scrolling around. I think that should be fine to see the text. Let me increase the text screen. So it has a flush function which basically in our case does Unity engine debug log, which shows the buffer on screen and clears the buffer after the buffer is shown to the console. Then we have a helper function flush on new line, which just checks if the last character in our buffer is a new line, and if that's the case we flush it. And then we have some pretty straightforward function. We could write a string to the buffer, which is needed by text writer. You see that with the overwrite because we overwrite the default text writer behavior. And we have a write function for string, a character, and a character array with index and count. Thankfully, the string builder implemented everything already for us. So the only thing we do is make a sanity check, maybe just write it, append it to the string buffer, and then we do flush on new line. And we do that for the character, and we do that also for the array, the index where this text started, which should be written to the text writer, and the amount of characters written. We don't need to do anything. Buffer, in our case, the string builder supports that. So this little helper function, which is really stupid and easy to write, in combination with console.setOut, we are able to see in our client, we have on every time when a client tries to connect, we have a Console.WriteLine connecting in a loop till the connection progress is done. And we also see Console.WriteLine connected. And when I run our game now in Unity, what we can see is that the text writer writes those messages now to the screen, which is great. So we can have the default Console.WriteLine behavior in our library, and it can be displayed in Unity. There are ways to do that. Another way, we could inject via dependency injection or something like that, an interface which does the logging for us, which would be even cleaner if I'm 100% honest. But it makes things a little bit more complicated, and you can't always do that. For example, if you're using a third-party library which uses Console.WriteLine and doesn't implement this logging feature, then you have to deal with it. And with this little trick, you will be able to do that with console set out. This is everything I have for you for this week, and I really want to thank my Patreon Julian for supporting this channel. Hit like and subscribe. We are developing normally an MMORPG, and currently I'm working on enemy behavior, which got distributed now via a load balancer. So the next video will be about AI distribution, making it scalable with Kubernetes. Thank you very much. Have a good week. Bye.